So, because I actually the last time kind of complained, not really complained, about not having too much to do with women millionaires, this time it's actually gonna be a woman and a millionaire. And with this being said, I welcome you to the Self Development with Tactics podcast. A podcast around many different things, from marketing to millionaire interviews to several books, and quite all books genres, to my personal experiences and quite a lot. So, at the end, it's just so many things, I guess. And all the videos, and or if you're just viewing it as the podcast, all the podcast episodes are also available as a video version. So, which means that if you are on the video, there's also a podcast version. If you're not having that much time, but you still want to get this maybe important, I don't know yet, maybe important information that I'm going to go through today about a millionaire and about a woman millionaire, which is, I think, totally interesting. But yeah, so subscribe to never leave out something again in terms of marketing, millionaire interviews, several books or just all book genres in the non-fiction just section or sector, and my personal thing. So just a lot of knowledge and experience and whatever it will be. Do not leave it. Just subscribe and hit the bell. If you're on YouTube, if you're on a podcast, subscribe or follow or whatever platform it may be. There's so many different ones, and on every one there's something different to do. So if you do not want to just, miss out something, subscribe or follow or something. And with that being said, I do think, my fucking God. No, this is the one. I think I'm just going ahead with the actual summary. Not summary, I'm so into summaries, I'm going through so much summaries that I'm actually somehow really fucking used to saying, okay, we're going through a summary. But no, this time, which is basically the episode or one of the two episodes for Saturday. Yes, because today is Friday, and I do not know if I have so much time as I do have today, tomorrow, and I do just have to learn a lot of things I just remember. But yeah, it only takes me half an hour. After that, I just have to learn something for school, because I do have actually 3 things to learn for next week, which is something I do not like to do, especially because I missed out one because I have been in the military, if you might know. But yeah, so the overview. How old are you and spouse and whatsoever. I will be 63 in August and my husband is 64. When we went to buy an engagement ring, his credit card was denied, so I paid with a check. We will celebrate our 40th anniversary this year anyway. Do you have kids or family or something? We have 2 sons, 31 and 35, who are well launched in their careers as film directors and online computer game consultants. What area of the country do you live in? Whether it's, rural or urban. My husband and I live in the rural southeast. What is your current net worth? It is 4.4 million. I actually chosen them because even though they're fairly old, they do just have a decent net worth. This is also something that I'm looking for, because I don't know. I don't know if there's so much to learn from people that are actually somehow also 60, but only quote unquote attention only have a net worth of 1.5 or 1.47 or something like this. I do think I'm just gonna pick these people that I'm somehow sure or somehow think that there's something to learn from them, and or about them as well, some sort of. What are the main assets that make up your net worth, like stocks and real estate and business and home and whatsoever? The investment account, which is 276k, the IRAS, which is 2.4 million, SEPs 55k Roth IRA, 44k HSA 30, 13k, and jewelry, household, cars, whatsoever, quite somehow 136k, cash and real estate, no, LLC cash, whatever this is. Is this on your credit card or something? Or your bank account? Yeah, nevertheless, and the real estate is 13k, the home 700k, okay. The law practice 45k, the cash nearly 100k, like 81k, and the real estate again somehow 128k. Social security, if we wait until 70 to take benefits and we each live 24 more years, social security might be 2 million cushion. A 2 million cushion. Our only debt is a 46k family loan, not a mortgage, held by my mother for the remodeling of my husband's local office, which is part of our LLC, or part of our LLC. Earn. This is the next section, I guess. The overview, then earn, then save, and then invest, which stands for the ESI, earn, save, and invest. And therefore, we are also on the esimoney.com website, which is a free website, which is actually not that normal. Like, a lot of websites where you do get a lot of information, especially a lot of information, you get some information, but not all of it. You do just sometimes have to pay for them, which is something I hate, because I then can make any videos off of them. But I understand it, If I would be making such a lot of interviews or whatsoever, I wouldn't sell them, but it would actually be a great idea for him or her, whoever is actually making these interviews, if he would actually just interview them like with a camera and then just, put it up as a YouTube video and then also transcribe it into, is it transcribe? Yeah, never mind, or just make a podcast out of it. Because I guess it would be something great. The downside of that is that a lot of people do not like to be, first of all, on the internet, like with their face and with their voice and whatsoever. And they also are camera shy. Like, they just do not want to be on cameras. Especially not if it's then all the 30 minutes of interview on the fucking web and everybody can see it. But yeah, so I was laid off during a company merger last year, and I am currently freelancing marketing strategy and editing services. I also manage the affairs and supervise the 24/7 care of my mother, who lives nearby and will be 100 later this year. This is a half-life job in and of itself. Sorry. My husband is a small town southern lawyer and has this seersucker suit too. Whatever this means. Maybe you can look it up. A lightweight fabric with a crimped or buckered surface. The German translation is such a piece of shit. I'm not complaining. So what is your annual income? The freelancing marketing is around 10k a year, which is quite nothing. The law practice is 20k a year, and the LLC rental income is 36k a year. In 2016, when I was employed full-time in a global high-tech marketing, I was making about 115, down from my career, and at its height, or is it height? So at the highest point, quite at the peak, she was actually making 200k when she was in telecom sales. And just thinking about people that are actually making the sales like with a phone. Are these telecom sales people? What if I just... telecommunication? I guess so. I actually guess so. But yeah, never mind. Could also be something different, but you could tell me. You could definitely tell me if just, glance, nice word, somewhere I've seen it, then I just, I'm not a native speaker, as you might have noticed, but I often see words and then I just use them. The problem there is that I'm often using them wrongly, or I just think like, this just means something, and at the end, it means something different. And I didn't know that, which is not that great. But yeah, in English, my English teacher, I think, is just somehow, understanding this when just putting out and throwing around with words that I actually do not know what they're actually meaning. But actually, didn't I want to do something? Yeah, never mind. So tell us about your income performance over time. What was the starting salary of your first job, and how did I grow from there? And how did it grow from there? So I'm not pissed, but it's somehow a little bit sad, isn't it? That this is now quite a summary with the person who isn't making a lot of money, which is, it's not basically what this whole episode is all about, but it's a great portion of it. So it's quite, I would say, at least for me, it's quite, it says something about the person, about, how they're doing and whatsoever. But I don't know. We will see what's coming up. We will see if this is a great, not summary, but interview. So yeah. So my very first paying job was catching minnows. It's MINNOWS in my father's pond and selling them 100 for $1 as a fish bait to nearby gas stations. After undergraduate school, I freelanced as a graphic designer and decided I wanted more say in the marketing strategy and messaging. I became part of the early wave of female MBAs and launched into telecom starting at 14.4k a year, which is pretty low. My husband also worked in telecom until his mid-40s. What tips do you have for others who want to grow their income? Diversify your income sources. Very, very, very good idea. And I really like it, It does make sense that you actually have more than one income stream. Like, most of the people have one. And should you be feared if you only have one? Totally not. Like, I really do not want to say that you just have to have multiple streams of income, but it's quite safe, For example, in her position, she isn't making quite any money right now, She doesn't have a job and, whatsoever. But, if there were more than, I guess she totally has then 1 or 2 income streams left or something, if she would have built one up to this point for the last, decade or something, it would be totally, more money that she would get. So, because her job, so she was fired, I guess, or something, or she was just too old, which is something I understand because she's 61, 62, something like that. No, 63. The husband 64, which is fairly old, which is really, really old. Not like really, really old, it's just still young, but it's old for people who are working. Still, but okay, if you're just viewing Warren Buffett, he's fucking 88, I guess, or 80, or 70. Let's have a look. Let's actually have a look. Richest person in every state. Who is 88 and has no plans of leaving Berkshire Hathaway, which is his company, I guess, and he's the CEO of it, which is incredible. He's 88, and he's still working because he's enjoying it. And this is when I just really understand, okay, what I'm saying and what I'm telling all the fucking time to the people, that you actually should do something that you like, isn't wrong, because it is great. You won't stop working, and most of the people will stop working because they don't like it. They just don't like it. But in terms of the income streams, just have more than one, I guess. There is an average of how many income streams the typical millionaire has, which is about, everybody says something different. This is the whole downside of this whole, averaging thing or whatsoever. Some say 5, some say 8. I don't know, let's say 6 or something. But it's fairly a lot, just for one person, 6 streams of income. It is a lot. It totally is, and it is then a lot of income. But if one of those 6 just goes away or breaks apart or whatsoever, then you still have 5 and you're still secure. And this is what I want to say, and if you want to be secure and safe and whatsoever, it is quite great and useful to have more than one income stream. Because, yeah, you could just lose your job or lose one of your income streams and you're still safe and you can still live and whatsoever. Which is something that everybody has. Which is something I understand, because I think a lot of people won't just know. Or it's just a lot of work having multiple income streams because you have to build them somehow. But yeah, so what is your work-life balance look like? Or looking like? It always bothers me if it's actually like, what's your work-life balance look like, or what it is looking like. But yeah, so right now, it is great. My freelance work is remote and not very time dependent. The flexibility allows me to manage my mother's affairs more easily. My husband's law practice includes lunches at home most days and short hours. He is not out to become partner, he's already the one and only partner. When our sons were in the middle school, my husband and I took a 3-year sabbatical back to back. It was an investment in the boys. It nearly killed me to turn over the checkbook, but we swept every duty except ironing and lawn mowing. Okay, so do you have any sources of income besides your career? And if so, can you list them? Yes, we have an LLC which has 2 commercial buildings with 4 renters. We also run my freelance marketing income through that LLC, which is I think fairly great, because there might be some tax advantages if you're running it through the LLC, I guess. So I do think in my country, in Austria, it would be the same thing. If I'm just having, but we do not have, there might be an equivalent for an LLC, but I don't know. I don't know what LLCs actually are. Is it low something? Let's see. Limited liability company. So yeah, I guess we have something like this. Yeah, it's great. It's great. The LLC grosses about 36k per year, which is something, which is totally something. It's still 3k a month. It is a lot. It's way more than the most people who are retired make or have or whatsoever. And this is just a portion of what they have in general, or what they have, as a full thing, or whatever you want to call it. Which is great. I think it's really great to just being able to retire with just, the thought in your head that everything is okay and you can still live, and you do not have to be feared of not having any money. And I do think a lot of people are, also in my country, I guess, there are people and their not rent, but their, what is it called? So the money they get isn't that much. It really isn't, but I do guess it just always comes up to how much you are investing into your plans and whatsoever. So yeah. So the first building was my husband's initial law office. Since we moved to be closer to my mother, we have rented it out to a variety of businesses. Remote rental management, 60 miles away, is not optimum. The second building has 3 renters, including my husband. The loft apartment is rented to a family member, so that's a very stable renter. We know her mama is local 3 miles, so maintenance oversight is not an issue. Safe. What is your annual spending? We spend 70 to 80k currently, and we are still adjusting to the loss of my full-time income. I clip coupons, my husband doesn't. Well, I think you can totally see that they're just, it's not a struggle. I don't really want to say that it is a struggle that she actually lost her full-time job, but I think they're still doing well. They're still pretty much doing well, even though I do have to say 70 to 80k a year just expenses isn't nothing. It's something. It really is something. It's quite a lot, to be honest. If you just, view it as per month, which is 6k a month, if you take the 80k a year, 6k a month, I don't know, I think it's a lot. I really think it is. But I do not have anything to just compare it with or compare it to, because I'm not renting, I'm not having my own income and whatsoever, but I still think it's a lot. So what are the main categories expenses this spending breaks into? Food, home maintenance, utilities, gifts to family, insurance and property taxes, and travel, $2,000. One son lives in Europe. Oh, I see. Okay. Do you have a budget? No budget. I've always been enamored with net worth statements instead. My husband accidentally bounced a check the first month we were married. He didn't see the checkbook again for 16 years. However, I always provided him a net worth statement at a quarterly State of the Union talks during the first few years of our marriage. We have now mellowed out those talks about once or twice a year. So what percentage do you save? We both saved the max to receive the company match and invested other funds in taxable and IRA investment accounts. And we are now investing in SEPs or SEPs, small s, or not capitalized, since we are self-employed. The problem there is I can say anything to these things because I don't know what IRAs are and SEPs are, but maybe you, and this is for you. But also for me, so I still learn a lot through just, going through the not summaries, but interviews, god damn it, through these interviews, because, first of all, it's entertaining for me to just, it's really, really just incredible to see how people, just achieved what they have achieved and what tips they have and how they've learned what they've done, which is, really at the bottom of the whole thing, which is always something that I'm looking forward to, because it's nice to see how they have learned things, if there were books, if there were courses, and whatsoever. What is your favorite thing to spend money on, so your secret splurge? Art and art supplies and wine for me. Dogs and Kindle books for my husband. My husband always has a wish list. A boat, a new car, kennel, and I'm usually the Kermagon who says no. Or Kermudgeon. I don't fucking know what this is. Invest. What is your investment philosophy? Don't spend more than you make. Save as much as you can and plan for the long term. What if I live to be 100 like my mother? Make the most of the 400Ks and HSAs available through your employers or SCPS if you're self-employed. It is better to put money in an S&P than pay more income taxes each year. Southerners are well known for their odd sayings, and my dad was one of the best. He was a day trader long before the term was coined. For stock picking, aim for a center cut, not the highest and the lowest. Never invest bread money that you can't afford to lose, and the market drop is the time to make hay, buy more stocks. Always wear your oldest overalls when you go to buy a car and then pay cash. Okay? Don't put all your eggs into one basket, which just means diversification. Something I always like. I always like to hear this kind of expression. Do not put everything into one basket. I don't know. I've used it often. Maybe it's just the reason why I like it. I don't know. So the worst investment was 7 acres of raw land and a lot in small rural subdivision. One of our commercial properties would nearly be in the same bucket, but at least it generates rent income that more than covers its carrying costs. What's been your overall return? I can't compute it because it is too intermingled with inheritances and additional investments. How often do they review or see the monitor or the portfolio, whatever? We meet in person each year with our wealth advisor team and handle our changes or updates by phone since we've moved almost 2 hours away. Yeah, and because why is it still so? Oh, I see. It's not that long. The future. There are some tables. Something that I'm really willing to talk about and something I would really like to show you. Something that I would really, really fucking like to show you. Make a new one. I'm very sorry right now. I'm very sorry that you can't see anything, but I'm willing to show you something. Well, I could also show it to you like this. Never mind. Compound interest. The thing with compound interest is, was it this one? I hope it was. It was this one. So compound interest is basically, if you, for example, invest, let's say $10 in S&P 500s or something similar, index funds or whatsoever, and you're never ever just taking the money out of the market, then you basically just have your $10, and through the S&P 500, which, as an example now, which is an index fund, which includes over 500, I think it was 504, which was something I've read today, which includes 504 companies, which basically means that if you're just buying this one stock, this one index fund stock, you're just basically buying stocks from over 500 different companies, which is great in terms of diversification because the chances are way higher that everything is running good. And this is also something that you can see with the returns that the S&P 500 is making. So it averages from just 1993, I guess, to now. It has an average of about 9.8 it was percent, which is something, which means, let's say 10%, which means that if you put 10% into or invest $10, and you add the 10% to it, which means that you have $11. Then at the end of the next year, you will get 10% of the $11, which means then, I don't know, 1.1 something, I don't know, and so on. And this goes on and goes on and goes on, and maybe then you have 20, bucks in your account after some years, and then you get your 10% for them, or 9%, let's say 10% because it's easier to calculate, and then you will get $2 back. What I want to say is that actually, at my point of view, it seems to be great. I'm just quite willing to start with it. There are just some moral issues that I do not know, what all these 500 companies are doing, because I quite don't know. I don't want to invest into something that's, I don't know, supporting child labor or some bullshit like this. But I really still think it is a great investment. It is, because it's so diversified. The returns say that it is doing well if you just S&P 500. By the way, I do not have anything to do with stocks and whatsoever. It's just something that I'm interested in, but I'm not very knowledgeable in it. So I think it was this one. Yeah. So you can totally see, you can somehow see. Could I just, it would actually be great to have the full one. Let's make it like this. Yeah. You can't see me that well, but yeah, so you can see that that it's always going like a zigzag, like up and down and up and way down. In 2019 was actually a pretty fucked up year. 10 years, no data. Fuck you, Max. No data. Well, but we can totally see a lot there as well. So over the 5 years, you can totally see it is just like zigzagging, or it seems to be for me to be like this. And for the past 4 years, it has always been in the plus, and even 21 fucking %. If you do it like this, if you have 500,000 in your bank account, and you are multiplying it by 1.2, which is basically then 20% of it, but just added to it then. Wait. Am I 1, 2, 1, 2, 3? It seems to be then 600,000. Like 100,000 additional to that. Which is a fucking load. Which is a lot, you know. If you think about it, like, this is the example that I'm willing to give you, which is basically the example that Tony Robbins always gives to, wherever he's speaking. If you have a base amount of $0, so you have basically nothing, and the annual interest rate is something like 10. Let's say 10, you know, because 10 is something that's quite the average, or actually take the complete average, 9.8 or 9,8, or do I actually have to do it like this? I don't fucking know. The calculation period is years, and we will do it for 50 years. And what Tony is always saying, which is a great example, I guess, you should be investing $300 a month. And the compound interest intervals are 1 year. So which means you have $0 in your account. You just invest for 50 years. I'll say he actually says you're actually investing for, I think, 25 years. And then from this point on, you will not invest anymore, but it still doesn't matter, you know, because, it's just such a lot of money that it's still compounding and making a lot of money out of this small, quote unquote, portion of money. But we will gonna do it like, we're gonna invest for 50 years, $300 a month, which is, I think at the beginning, it is something that maybe some people will struggle with. So you can also just, do it with $100. But I guess, the older you get and the more experience you have and, the more work you can do and whatsoever, and the more established you are, whatsoever, the more money you can actually put into the investment. And we just take the average interest rate of 9.8, which means that every singular year, 9.8 of what we have in our account is going to be 9.8% of what is in the account will be added to the account. And we're not taking anything out of the market. And let's see, I hope I've done that correct and you can't see any fucking shit. So let's just take a look at the 30th year. By the end of the 30th year, we have 3.6 million in the bank. The return, the year's interest will be 50k, which means that, the 10% of the 3.6 million are 50k. Or is it actually? Yeah, it should be 3 million. And at the end, is this right? No, this is million. I'm very sorry, I can't read any shit. So at the end of the 50 years, basically, you then will have in your balance, which is this thing on the really just, now you can see it a little bit better. At the end, you will have 4.1 million in your bank account. But just putting in $300 or euros or whatever you're doing into your account every single month and waiting. There may be ups and there may be downs. There may be just the worst year that we could have seen there was 2019 with minus 4.38%. But if you just, if we would take the 21%, let's say we are investing $300 still over 50 years, but have 21% of interest rate. We are gonna get at the end of the 50th year 262 million. Yes. and we're only just putting 3.6k, so 3,600 dollars into the. So we're just investing 3.6k every singular year, and the interest. The funny thing is, the interest of year one, if you're just taking the 21%, will then be actually $400, and then you're gonna have quite 4k, and then of the 4k, the year's interest will then be 1.2k, and it adds up, and adds up, and by, let's say 25, because it's the half, we will have total interest and the balance, total deposit, 41. Okay, now I get it. So in 25 years, or at the end of the 25th, I guess, actually, we are gonna have, we are going to have 90k in the account, basically, and as a whole interest, only the interest, 2.2 million, which adds up to 2.1 million, and then it will be just 2.215 million, sorry. Isn't that amazing? But you should totally just look it up yourself and just see for you if this is something to just, think about. It was just something so interesting for me that I just have to tell you. Maybe you can just do some calculations as well. Let's say $100 with very, very great 50 years. $100 will be at the end, 87 million. But 20% is something that's very, very abnormal. Let's say again 10% with $100, then we are at 1.4 million. It's still decent. It's really still decent. And if you only put in like 10 every single month for 50 years, then you will still add up to 147k. And the whole balance would actually be 6k. The interest is 141k. Or am I wrong? No, no, I'm not wrong. But yeah, let's see. So the net worth, the accumulation, it's nothing so important. So what are you currently doing to maintain it? We're still acclimating to the end of my full employment and the orienting health of my mother, who has had breast cancer for over 4 years. Oh my fucking god. The target net worth, my goal was 4 million in income generating assets by the time we retired. If you consider us semi-retired now, we are getting there. So how old were you when you made your first million, and how have you, and if there was any significant behavior shift in this time? Then the first million was when they were 41 and 42, and when they were 26, so quite, let's say, just 20 years before that, not even 20 years, they had 43k, and then a million, then after 8 years 2 million, after 6 years 3 million, and then again after 5-6 years again 4 million. They should have saved more in their early age. Changing jobs, definitely. Money mistakes. My husband was laid off. He changed directions completely by going to law school. We would have handled my husband's entry into law practice differently. After 3 months, he realized how bad it is. Okay, never. Not so interesting. If you had to give advice to ESI readers or ESI money readers on how to become wealthy, what would it be? Read and compare your financial strategy, tweaking it when appropriate. Your money or your life, The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Waltons, Dave Ramsey. We outgrew Money Magazine, but it was useful early on in keeping a financial perspective. Now I am enjoy your ISE Money site for the variety of situations and the focus on financial success. Learn Excel if you don't know already. Teach your kids about money, and yeah. So how did you learn about finances, and what age did it click? Early. My parents considered that to be the ultimate bad four-letter word, and sale to be one of the best. My dad talked often about the power of interest and savings, and my mother was a penny pincher extraordinary with food and clothes, which my sisters and I generally had to make ourselves. My husband and I have never had a conventional house mortgage. Instead, we used the family bank, and my parents held the mortgage. We paid the prevailing interest rate, and the mortgage was fully executed and recorded as it were a non-family mortgage. Yeah, this was quite it with this episode. I do hope that you liked it, and I do hope that you just got something like value out of it. And if so, give me a like, subscribe, and just, take the bell or something. Just click on the bell so that you never ever miss out on another episode. Stay healthy. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success as always. And please do not forget to think about how you're gonna be remembered, to quite your legacy, and actually giving back to the people. Because it is important whether they've given you something or not, doesn't matter. That being said, I'll see you.